Good evening, everybody. My name is Kate Cherry. I'm an independent consultant and executive district manager with Arbonne International. I'm here tonight with Emma, who actually introduced me to Arbonne in the very first place. And Emma runs a business called, she has a private practice called NuYu Nutrition. She's a naturopathic nutritional therapist. Hello, Emma.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining me tonight and giving of your time to have this call with anyone out there who's looking to find out a bit more about getting healthy in 2020. So I'm saying that with tenterhooks because you're starting now to see on social media not a backlash, but the sort of the image pushing fitness drive kind of thing that's going on because it's January and that's just what happens. New Year's Day, which was yesterday actually, I got a flyer through my door from a company that shall remain unnamed to, you know, join their plan. I thought, wow, New Year's Day, that's keen.
On it.
Let me get over the hangover first. But there's a lot of advice out there. There are a lot of myths out there, I believe, and especially now I've worked more closely with Emma over the years, I understand much more about the body, how it functions, what's right, what's not right, and what your body needs really. So we just wanted to come online briefly to give you a little bit of an overview of what the Arbonne 30 Days to Healthy Living is all about, because, and even for my personal network or anyone else's, you know, sometimes I get people saying, oh, I couldn't do a cleanse or I couldn't do a shake plan or whatever, and that it's neither of those things. So this will be great for dispelling some of those myths and seeing a professional as well who's going to fill in the gaps that obviously I'm not qualified to talk about. So I was introduced to the 30 Days to Healthy Living by Emma, actually, and Arbonne 6 years ago is when I first did it. And I think pretty much since then, I've probably done it about 2 to 3 times a year. Because now it's become my mechanism to, I know my warning signs of when I need to do it. So sluggishness, don't sleep so well. My hips hurt, bizarrely. I've got osteoarthritis in my hips. So certain foods, which we might touch on later, set me off if I am eating them for too long. And all sorts of other things. So your energy during the day, you're sluggish, you just want to pile chocolate on chocolate and keep watching films, which I was just saying to Emma is what I wanted to do right now. So bring on Monday. So for me 6 years ago, it was, I was sort of tall, slim, corporate gal, thought, yeah, I'm relatively healthy, I'm active, I go to work every day. But little did I know that it's not, and also agreeing with some of the stuff we're seeing on social media at the moment, it's not about what you look like and what you fit into and whether you're buff and you've got guns. It's about what's going on inside is going to be driving everything for you. So whether it is your sleep, your irritability, your skin condition, your hair condition, actually, your energy, and yeah, by default, your centimeterage, I'd call it. So I don't like to look at it as weight necessarily. Of course, in some situations, it's good to look at weight, but I prefer to look at, you know, at the end of the day, we want our trousers to fit, don't we? It doesn't matter how much we weigh. Obviously, that's in my situation. There are other situations where it would be relevant. So the 30 Days to Healthy Living simply is creating a blank canvas for you, for your system, and declogging of toxins. So declogging all of your essential organs, or any organs really, from those toxins, cutting out what's not serving you that could be leading to all sorts of dis-eases. So ways in which you're not quite right, or worse. So maybe Emma will touch on some of that. So, and how we do that is we are eliminating allergenic foods and toxins and things that aren't serving you for 30 days. Now, some people get to the end of the 30 days and continue because they're loving the results. They had so far to come and they've done so well, they just keep going. We call it and beyond, because also what happens at the end of the 30 days is you're reforming your habits. So you will become less reliant on sugar and caffeine as a result. You will be more knowledgeable as to what sugar really is and what's a good sugar, what's bad sugar, how it transforms in your body and all of that. So if you, we demand so much of ourselves in terms of, oh, I've got to stop doing this, I've got to stop doing that, I've got to start going to the gym, or this, that, and the other. This is a gentle way to learn habits over time. And really, if you're just following the plan, you won't really notice that you're forming the habits. But then on day 31, when theoretically you could go back to having your dairy and your bottle of Prosecco on a Friday and your, you know, your toast, you actually may not want to so much, which is great. But also on the flip side, your body will start to realize as you reintroduce what might be causing a problem for you. Also what we do though is, so instead you're eating lots of whole foods, you're eating fish, meat, obviously not if you're vegetarian or vegan, we have different options, but it's all the good stuff without the processing and without the high sugars, and that's what we're doing. So there's no depriving yourself of anything. On the contrary, you're feeding yourself everything it needs, but also, and Emma's going to touch on this I hope, is supplementing yourself with the nutrients that you need. I'll let Emma explain why, but in our case it's the Arbonne nutrition that we use. And so as a whole, our 30 Days to Healthy Living and Beyond plan is clinically proven to improve overall health and well-being. So it's not eating, it's just eating right and learning good eating habits and learning what's good and what's not. I hear a lot of people saying, oh, I eat really healthily anyway, and then I see what they eat and think, oh, you're having lots of dairy, aren't you? So, and it's not a diet, it's not a shake plan, and it's not starving yourself. So enough from me about what the plan is. I'll share a bit more at the end, but Emma, please tell us a bit more about you and your journey to working in nutrition.
Okay, well, thank you. Thanks, Kate. Yeah, so I'm a qualified naturopathic nutritional therapist. My journey began about nearly 9 years ago. It'll be 9 years ago this summer. I was actually diagnosed with depression, postnatal depression. And long story short, but ultimately I knew kind of instinctively that the depression was more of a symptom than anything, and part of a bigger picture. And this is what I particularly love about nutrition, naturopathic nutrition, is that, you know, we look at individuals from a holistic point of view, and oftentimes it's not just one system that is dysfunctional. A lot starts in the gut, you know, as you mentioned. I actually specialize in gut therapy, and a lot tends to start in the gut, but that can then, you know, you've got to think about our bodies as like cog systems, you know, and each individual system and the 11 systems are all working and interconnected with each other. So you know, it can then have a knock-on effect with your hormonal system. For me, so the gut had become dysfunctional, and it was affecting the nervous system, which is this system that is affected by, or is affected by depression. So that's where my journey started. And from qualifying, from doing my studying, I started to understand that if I could repair my gut, then the knock-on effect would be that I would, you know, start to feel better from a kind of a mood and a mental health perspective. So yeah, that's kind of where I've come from, and the kind of clients that I see are anyone from suffering from IBS to actual inflammatory bowel disease. I myself have got Crohn's, so I have my own experience. That was what we discovered years later, was actually what was going on, was that I had Crohn's, and one of the side effects of that was depression. So yes, I see a broad spectrum of clients that most of their issues are starting in their gut. And what I particularly love about the Arbonne 30-day plan is that quite often when I see a client and they don't know, they're not aware of Arbonne and the 30-day plan, I actually put them on something very similar to the Arbonne 30-day plan, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to hit the reset button. I'm trying to create a kind of a blank canvas of what I'm working with. So by eliminating some common allergen foods and intolerance type foods, then what we're doing is we're creating what we're really working with. And you've got things like gluten is a big one, because you've got, so lining your digestive system, you've got little things called, I like doing this, they're like little villi, they're called villi, and what they do is they trap the food, and then obviously and the particles of nutrients, so that they can start to absorb the vitamins and minerals and the amino acids, which is broken down from the protein, and the glucose broken down from carbohydrates and the essential fatty acids, so that the body can utilize those. But what gluten can do over time, if you've got any kind of dysbiosis going on, is it can actually start to break down that villi. So if you haven't got that kind of protective layer, then that's when things like leaky gut can start to occur, and you're starting to react to foods, not because your immune system has a genuine allergy to it or an intolerance to it, but because the food is in the wrong place. So you eat food, it goes into your mouth and it goes through your into your stomach, it through your digestive system and goes out the other end. And obviously what happens is you assimilate the nutrients from the food, and that gets absorbed into the system so that we can use it for all our functions. But the actual solid food particles shouldn't ever get anywhere other than in our digestive system. So quite often what's happening when you've got when the integrity of your gut is compromised, is that you've got these food particles in the body, and the immune system is going, I'm going to attack that because that is in totally the wrong place, not because you genuinely are intolerant to it. So that's what I love about the Arbonne plan, is that actually it's the more or less you're getting nutritional advice, free nutritional advice on how to press your reset button. It's fantastic.
I love it. Yeah, I know what you mean, and I love that now with your business as well as a nutritional therapist, it's like a complete picture, isn't it? So we've been able to work quite closely together whenever I have a customer or someone I work with as a customer with a particular situation. Now I know, okay, the average person, 30 days to healthy living, do that, great blank canvas. Then if you have an additional issue, I can refer them to you for further advice, but usually gets rid of the issue. And in some cases, people who have been on medication for a long time and think that they're stuck with something, your body's meant to feel good, isn't it? And it's not an age thing or whatever, it's meant to feel good. However, in some situations, there would be someone that I would refer straight to you. So what are the sort of more complex situations that maybe the 30 days isn't right for initially?
That's a really good question, because in what I find is, in the majority of cases, either, like you say, the 30-day plan reboots everything, and actually it's just what your body needed, and actually you're on the right track doing it 2 or 3 times a year. And I love what you said about actually I now being able to be so mindful and self-aware and in tune with your body, that you're able to go, do you know what, I'm ready for a 30-day, because that's wonderful. I mean, that's one of the things that, one of the advantages of the 30-day plan is it gets you to kind of re-engage with your body and say, okay, this is what I'm doing, and this is how great I feel. And there isn't really any reason why you shouldn't feel like that all the time. It is really sad. I do have, I have as young as in their teens. I have girls in their teens that are coming in and saying, I'm just constantly tired. And in those examples, then they're aware that isn't the right thing to be feeling. But I have women and men in their 40s and their 50s who are sitting there and saying, well, yeah, but it's normal to start to feel tired at this age. What? You're only like halfway through your life, and you're saying that for the next 40 years you're going to be happy to feel like this and progressively worse. So doing the 30-day plan actually gets you back in tune with how you should be feeling and how you should be able to function on a day-to-day basis. So building that self-awareness so that you start to recognize when you're feeling a bit sluggish, or when you're starting to get run down with a lot of colds, or or mentally, your mood is fluctuating, you're feeling quite low mood, you're then able to go, okay, this isn't right, I know this is not right, and I now know how to kind of reboot things. So Sorry, I've gone on a complete tangent from your question, but yeah. So in the majority of cases, when somebody's finished the 30 days, they can go, right, okay, and now I know where I'm at, and I know what lifestyle how I can start to adapt my lifestyle. But for some people, at the end of the 30 days, they're like, do you know what? Right, but I've seen some improvement, but I've still got that chronic pain in my upper left abdomen, or I've still got I'm still losing a lot of my hair, and you mentioned about your hair and your skin, and quite often if you've got deficiencies, then the first signs are things like dry skin and hair loss, because what the body's doing is something miraculous. It's pulling away from the resources that it feels that it aren't 100% necessary, because it wants to focus on our essential organs like your heart and your liver and that sort of thing, so that it's so it's prioritizing basically those things. So I will see clients that have got to a point when they're like, right, now we know what you're working with, and we can start to do some functional testing and investigatory work.
Do you ever speak to someone though that you've heard you say this once, that you think, oh, I needed to see you X amount of time ago, years in some cases?
Oh, it makes me sad. It makes me really sad. Obviously, the older kind of, I saw one particular client that was in her 60s, and she was wheelchair bound, and I just it made me quite sad, because I thought, we talked, obviously when I do an initial consultation, I go through a full case history, and the warning signs were there in her 30s. And it does make me sad. It makes me really sad. I have to be really kind of really strong, because it makes me sad, because I think, oh, if only you'd seen, not me, because I would have been too young, but someone, if only they'd saw the kind of the nutritional side. And there's, I'm not trying to criticize NHS and doctors and specialists. I think they do incredible jobs, and very often they're very overworked and they are time starved, so they haven't got that time to kind of sit and go through the nitty gritty detail. But they, GPs, for example, do 7 years of training, medical training, and spend less than a week on nutrition, and it's, and actually I am experiencing, because obviously I have to work quite closely with GPs with like referring for tests and that sort of thing. And a lot of them will sort of say, diet has its place, but you need to go and seek expert knowledge, because I can't give you that kind of knowledge. But there are examples of GPs and specialists who will turn around and say to their patients that diet doesn't have an effect, and you think, oh,
I meet people like that all the time. People who've had medical procedures, who've been seen for one thing or another. Again, people who have, there's one person in particular I can think of who struggled for ages to get any kind of nutritional advice, and that was only after I told her, recommended that she do that, because her challenge was, can't exactly remember what, but like you were saying, it then impacted her mental well-being massively. She had to drop out of college. So there's no link, or oh, maybe. And I've been a victim. I've had that. I've been at the receiving end of that myself when I got my diagnosis for osteoarthritis in my hips 7 years ago. I was told there's nothing to be done. You'll just get hip replacements in your 50s, because it's early. And I know now from both physiotherapists and osteopaths that that's not true. You can help yourself. And also obviously now through the plan, I know that will actually know what I eat massively impacts that as well. So it's kind of creating this little time bomb that's ticking away, and it's kicking it down the line, when actually if a little bit more encouragement was made to the healthy living. So we're not the wacky bunch anymore. It's the trend. People are realizing the link between and the gut brain and the brain and all of that, isn't it? So IBS is one example where I hear a lot of people say, and I have family members even who've said, oh, I have IBS, I've had it for decades. But
there'll be a root cause. And that's the idea of naturopathic nutrition, is you're seeking that root cause. You know, the exactly as you're just explaining there. You know, if you start to piece it all together and you start to, you know, filter back, then you can look at it becomes preventative medicine. You know, that's what I look at nutrition and supplementation. You know, that I also work in a health food shop, and I have a lot of people that come in and I'll,
like me.
And they'll say, oh, I'm getting these grooves in my nails, and I'll say, yeah, okay, well, that's a sign of a B deficiency. Let's get you on a B complex, and I'll offer them a B complex, and they'll say, well, yes, but what are the side effects? And I'll say, you'll feel great and you'll have loads of energy. Is that okay? And plus you'll get rid of the ridges in your nails.
And you've helped me in the past. I mean, there are lots of other supplements out there, and I would definitely recommend speaking to a nutritional therapist, because the things you buy in the shops and the supermarkets, for example, may not be the same quality. It's not just because you're getting something with the label of I help with this that it is actually going to. So it's so interesting that people will pick something off of the shelf in a supermarket, and it's cheaper, and it's great tick box, I've had my vitamins, but then they'll question something that costs a bit more in a health food shop, when actually, as you explained to me, for example, with the vitamin C supplements I take, you want it to be gentle on your stomach, and you want it to be slow release, so you're not just flushing it out, that kind of thing. So some incredible advice. Just so that we can finish on time, because I know I'm conscious of your time. I've touched on that. I'm looking on my notes. Oh, we've covered loads of stuff already. I don't think we've talked enough about, I think we've talked around it, but about inflammation. So you always say you are what you absorb, not you are what you eat, because we always say you are what you eat. But actually, it's more about you are what you absorb now, isn't it?
That's it, absolutely. Because I have people, and I have clients that come to me and say, I've got this really healthy diet. You know, why am I getting these symptoms? And it's like, and often it goes back down to the gut again. It's like, right, well, you know, if that integrity on your gut has been compromised, then no, you won't be absorbing the nutrients that you need. One of my favorite products that Arbonne does is the Digestion Plus. You know, and we often take for granted, in fact, I know a lot of people that aren't even aware of the role of digestive enzymes. So enzymes are produced naturally by the body, but we also need to get them from our food, and we predominantly get them from raw fruits and mainly vegetables, more vegetables than fruits, but some fruits as well. But what can happen is, and I've had a few clients that have been in this vicious circle, because they've got to the stage where they can't tolerate too much raw vegetables, because that can be really irritating on their gut. So of course they're not then able to get the enzymes that they need to break down the foods, to get the, you know, your macronutrients, which are your carbohydrate, which converts to glucose, and your amino acids, which convert from protein, and your essential fatty acids, and your vitamins and minerals. And there's a plethora of phytonutrients and antioxidants and other things that obviously don't get talked about nearly as much as the vitamins and mineral obvious ones. So they're in this vicious circle because they can't eat the foods that they need to get the digestive enzymes. So you have something like Digestion Plus added to your daily routine, and that sorts all that out. So then you can start to, it works on repairing the gut, and in the meantime you're getting those digestive enzymes, which will help to get the most, for you to absorb the most from the foods that you are eating. So that's definitely my favorite.
I remember you once recommending it for one of my clients, because their child had skin issues, which was preventing them from sleeping. It was severe eczema, wasn't it? And your recommendation was, well, okay, before they eat in the evening, have the Digestion Plus, which will start to work through the gut. And actually it had an incredible difference on his sleep quality and which is amazing. And without speaking to someone like you, wouldn't have necessarily known that at all. So we're reducing inflammation on one side.
Yeah.
Inflammation which leads to all sorts of things, such as some very nasty words we don't want to start saying, to then clearing the gut out, allowing it to do its job, getting it alkaline again, because most of us are walking around with acidic guts, and we need to have alkaline guts to heal and do all that good work. To then mean, it doesn't mean you have to never eat these things again. It does mean you might find out what's irritating you once you start reintroducing them, and we guide people back to one sort of group at a time at the end of the plan, so you can kind of see that, and overall should help improve all those things. And if it doesn't, then you know that you need to have a further conversation with someone. But it's kind of a really natural way, isn't it, of getting balance back, I guess, in your body, but also at the same time boosting it with all those vitamins, minerals and plant-based nutrition through the Arbonne products.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what the body always wants to be in something called homeostasis, which is homeostasis, which is balance. You know, this is why people struggle with weight loss, you know, and these whole like crash diet things are an absolute nightmare, because what you're doing is you're basically putting the body into panic mode, because it constantly wants to be in balance. So when you do something like crash diet and you drop the calories and you're dropping weight, the body then has to do a hell of a lot to get back into what it feels is balance. And quite often that's just pretty much cutting your metabolism. So people either plateau or they get too exhausted, and then when they start to eat normally again, they gain all the weight back again. And that's what I love about the 30-day plan, is it's nothing about that. And so actually that kind of the re-education is not only mentally for the individual that's learning about the 30 days and the benefits of it, it's re-education for the whole body, because it's actually such a kind of a gentle and a process that is working alongside the body and in no way against the body,
as opposed to something that just puts your body under stress.
Yes.
And that you just run away from, because
cortisol and
and on that, the hormone side of things is massive, isn't it? And then we'll finish because you were so kind enough to help me with my dad, who was diagnosed with a very mild form of lymphoma, which doesn't require any treatment, but it was okay, what can we do to make sure his health is optimized? And it's just tweaks, isn't it? It was nothing major. It's a bit more of this, a bit less of that, so your liver can process what the hormones it needs to, and take this, and small tweaks that he's actually been able to implement in his life, most of them, which you know, he might not notice the difference now, but it's setting him in really good stead to help that I guess cell reproduction, is it, and making sure that he's got all those healthy cells flying around, not the unhealthy ones. Brilliant, thank you so much. So thank you everybody for listening. Just really briefly on some different options. You can do the 30-day to healthy living whenever you want throughout the year. Like I said, sometimes I cut it down to 10 days and I just do a quick boost. It's January though, so a lot of us are doing from Monday, we've got a private Facebook group with help and support and guidance and recipes and workbooks, which you can join. So let me know, or the consultant that sent you this. There are a couple of other separate groups that are running. I think one starts the Monday after, and one actually started today. But you know, it's as long as you've got that support and the workbook, then you're going to know what to do, because you've got someone helping you. And there are three kind of different options to get on board with that. The plan, the support, all of that is free. The only thing is that you just need to be an Arbonne client buying nutrition to help you support you through the plan. So it's we've got a large pack. I was going to share screen, but I'll just to save time I won't. So we've got a large pack of nutrition which would last you pretty much one person 2 months, or 2 people for 1 month, and that's 40% off for preferred clients and 50% off for consultants. Then we've got a medium pack, which is enough for 1 person for a month, and that includes, both of these include the digestive enzymes that Emma talked about. and that's 30% off for preferred clients and 40% off for consultants. Or then, you know, if it's you could just want maybe 2 or 3 things, I would always recommend the Digestion Plus, the protein shake, and either the fizz sticks, or which are energy drink, or maybe the detox tea to replace your caffeine. And that's something you can do for 20% off or 35% as a consultant, and in some cases you'll get a free product with that too. And so ask the consultant that showed you this, or come back to me and I can help you with that. Emma, what is your Facebook page? I will also put it in, not Facebook, website, sorry. I'll also put it in a link, but how can people contact you?
You can go to my website. It's www.NuYu, so NuYu, stands for Nutrition Unraveled, You Understood.
Ah.
Yeah. So NuYu nutrition.co.uk.
Brilliant.
Bit of a mouthful.
And for anyone who knows me on Facebook, Emma's linked to me, so you can find her that way as well, but I will put all the links in afterwards. So thank you so much. I hope some of you will join us on our healthy living journey in January. I know I, for one, can't wait to feel a bit more energetic, let's say, less sluggish. But for now, it's not yet. For me, it's not yet the end of the festive season, so we will be indulging a bit more for a bit longer. But thank you very much. And Emma, thank you so much as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Speak to you all soon. Bye-bye.